Hello everyone, welcome to the course on genetics. In this video we will learn about monoploidy. This is one type of euploidy. So what is euploidy? What are the numerical changes in chromosomes? Everything we have discussed in previous video. Now we will proceed to monoploidy. So we know very well monoploids, they are the organisms having single basic set of chromosomes, means the organisms having only one set of chromosome, that is basic set of chromosome, then they are known as monoploids. So this type of monoploidy, it is seen commonly in plants, but it occurs rarely in animals. Now we will see origin and production of monoploids. So how they are produced and how they are originated in different types of organisms naturally, and here also we will see how can we produce monoploids. So monoploids are produced due to parthenogenesis. So this is very important here. The parthenogenesis means the production of an embryo without fertilization. So monoploids, they are produced due to parthenogenesis in some animals like male insects such as honeybees, wasps and ants. So in these insects the male will be formed, and it is the male which is formed due to parthenogenesis, and these can be seen in honeybees, wasps and ants. In these insect, males are monoploids, but the queen workers, they are the diploid females. So monoploids are the males which are formed due to parthenogenesis, and they can be seen in honeybees, wasps and ants. So in these same insects, the females are the diploid one. Now in plants, if you see, especially flowering plants, monoploids may be originated spontaneously due to parthenogenetic activity or parthenogenetic development of egg. So as we have seen, what is parthenogenetic activity? The embryo or the egg, it will be developed into embryo without fertilization. So this is the case we can see in plants. It has been seen in plants such as tomatoes, cotton. Sometimes monoploids can evolve from synergid antipodal cells of embryo and pollen tube. So sometimes in some plants these type of monoploids can be evolved from the synergids and antipodal cells of embryo sac, as well as they can develop from pollen tube. So such type of monoploids can be seen in tomatoes and cotton plants. Now we will see how can we produce monoploids. So there is a need to produce monoploid because they have different types of uses. So in laboratory, through experiments, how can we produce monoploids, we will see here. So apart from their natural origin, monoploids are produced by artificial way, and they can be produced by different methods. So there are different methods which are enlisted here. It can be produced by distant hybridization. They can be also produced by anther and pollen culture. They also produced by X-ray treatment. Then they can be seen, or they can be produced by delayed pollination, by cold treatment, means temperature shocks we can give, and they can also produce by colchicine treatment. So some of these common techniques are explained in this video. So only two, distant hybridization and anther or pollen culture, we will see in detail. Rest of these methods can be also used, but these two methods are most commonly used method for the production of monoploids. So one by one we will see. First of all, we'll see distant hybridization. So what is technique of this method for the production of the monoploids, we will see. So there are some members of family Solanaceae like Solanum, Nicotiana, etc. They are produced they are used to produce both parthenogenic and androgenic monoploids. In potato, large number of monoploids are obtained by scientists till today. Also, the scientists employed barley for the production of monoploids and produced large number of monoploids. So, scientists, they have used solanum, that is potato, as a plant for the production of monoploids. So till today scientists got many or large number of monoploids from the potato plants. Also, different scientists, they have employed barley. So this is again a monocot plant, and this plant also useful and used for the production of monoploids. Now there is a scientist, namely Kasha et al., and means Kasha and his some co-workers. They have worked on barley plant in 1970. They have carried out an experiment and they used a technique to produce a monoploid of barley. If diploid barley Hordeum vulgare, this is the scientific name of first species, that is diploid barley Hordeum vulgare. It is a species which having the diploid chromosome number which is 14. If it is pollinated using a diploid white relative called Hordeum bulbosum. So here simply they took two species of Hordeum, that is Hordeum vulgare and Hordeum bulbosum. Both are having diploid chromosome number 14. If they are crossed, fertilization will take place, but during somatic cell division, the chromosomes of Hordeum bulbosum are eliminated from the zygote. So here what happened? The chromosomes of Hordeum bulbosum, they are get eliminated, and the only chromosomes of Hordeum vulgare will remain there, and it will result into the haploid embryo. Means though we have crossed both plants, here only the chromosomes of Hordeum vulgare remains there, because this is diploid plant. If it produces gametes, then it will become 7. So 1 n, that is n is equal to 7. Now this plant also produce gametes which having chromosome number 7. If these two 7 and 7 chromosomes come together, only one, that is Hordeum vulgare, it will express itself, and the chromosomes, that is chromosome 7 of Hordeum bulbosum, they get eliminated. So the haploid embryo will be formed with only 7 chromosomes. So here you can see the haploid number is only 7. So this is the case we can see in the barley. So in this way, Kasha et al., they have performed this experiment in 1970. Simply they have chosen two varieties of two species of Hordeum, that is Hordeum vulgare and Hordeum bulbosum. When they cross them during fertilization, what will happen? The chromosomes of the species Hordeum bulbosum, they are get eliminated, and only the chromosomes of Hordeum vulgare, they remain there, and therefore the plant will be having only 7 chromosomes, that is only one set of chromosome, and this is basic set of chromosome. So this plant formed, it is nothing but the monoploid plant. Now why it has been happened? Because how and why this chromosomes of Hordeum bulbosum have been eliminated? So this may happen due to genetic incompatibility of between the chromosomes of different species, because we have selected different species, Hordeum vulgare and Hordeum bulbosum. So there will be the genetic incompatibility, means these two chromosomes of two different species, they will not accept each other, and there is a genetic incompatibility, and the obtained haploid can be doubled with colchicine treatment. Now when these monoploids have been obtained, they can be again doubled with colchicine treatment to get more number of monoploids. So if we want to produce more number of monoploids of barley, now we can give them with a colchicine treatment and we can produce large number of monoploids. So this technique have been used for rapid production of new varieties of barley. Now we have produced monoploids of barley and many number of such many monoploids, and these monoploids can be used further for the production of new varieties of barley. So this technique of monoploid production is also applied for many other species also. So it is not limited only for this barley or rhododium, it is also applied for other different species. So simply what they have done, they have chosen two species of rhododium, they cross them, fertilization takes place, and the chromosomes of one species they get eliminated and chromosomes of only one species remain there. So in this way they have produced the first monoploid plant. Now for to get more monoploids, they simply given treatment of colchicine to this first monoploid and they produced large number of monoploids from theirs. So these monoploids or these large number of monoploids, they can be used for the production of or for the production of new varieties of barley or any other plants. So this is very simple technique they have used in 1970 for the production of monoploids. Now another method of producing monoploids, it is anther or pollen cultures. So in this case there were two scientists, Guha and Maheshwari, in 1967 they demonstrated this technique of monoploid production by anther and pollen culture, and they first of all done their experiment in tobacco plant. So what actually they have done, we will see. This technique is used further by many scientists to produce monoploids of plants like wheat, soybean, rice, mustard and many other plants. So this anther and pollen culture technique, it is not only limited for tobacco. Another scientists, they used this technique for the production of monoploids of wheat, soybean, rice, mustard, etc. So what actually Guha and Maheshwari have done, in this technique a cell which will develop into a pollen grain may be induced by cold treatment to grow into the embryo. So in this technique, they simply what they have done, they have identified and selected the cell which will further grow into pollen grain, and that cell they have selected and they have induced that cell with cold treatment. So they have given some temperature shocks to that cell, and that cell, instead of producing pollen grain, it directly produced into embryoids. So this is the method of anther and pollen culture for the production of monoploids. So the formed embryoids, so in this way the embryoids will be formed, and all these formed embryoids may be grown on agar to form monoploid plantlets, which after successful development can be potted in soil to grow up to the maturity. So nowadays this technique is very potential source of monoploid production. So here what actually scientists have been done, so only they have selected or identified the cell which will grow into a pollen grain. Now they give them or they induce that cell with cold treatment, or they given temperature shocks to that cell. So that cell, instead of producing pollen grain, it directly produces embryoids. Now all these formed embryoids, they are grown on agar medium, and they will resulted into monoploid plants. So all these monoploid plants, after their successful development on agar media, they will potted these plants on soil and they will grow up to maturity. So all these plants are monoploid plants. So nowadays this is very important and potential technique to produce monoploids. So in this way we have seen how can we produce monoploids by different two ways. There are many other ways like colchicine treatment. Also we can use when we can produce monoploids, but here we have seen only two methods which are most commonly used. Now we will proceed to the morphology of monoploids. So what is difference between diploid plant, normal diploid plant and monoploids? So how these monoploids are morphologically different? So as compared to normal diploid plants, monoploids plants have reduced vegetative and reproductive plant parts, because we know there is only one set of chromosome in monoploids, but diploids are having two set of chromosomes. So diploids are normal one, but monoploids, they are somewhat reduced plant parts. And which plant parts? Vegetative as well as reproductive, means their roots, leaves, shoot, etc. all these vegetative parts are reduced as compared to diploid plants. Also they will produce small flowers, small flower parts, then fruits and seeds also. So all these reproductive parts are also reduced as compared to diploid plants. So this is first and very important morphological character of monoploids. Now next is the size of seeds, pollen diameter and size of stomata in monoploids is also smaller than that of diploids. So here also we can see size of seed, pollen diameter means the size of pollen also, and size of stomata which are present on the leaves. So it is also reduced or it is also smaller as compared to diploids. Then if we see the changes and morphology at cell level, we can see monoploids have smaller, that is half size nucleus than that of diploid cell, because we know very well the nucleoplasmic index, if you know the concept, if there are large number of chromosomes into the nucleus, then nucleus will become larger. But if any nucleus it contains a reduced number of chromosomes, then chromosome will be smaller. In this case, in monoploids, what happens? The nucleus contains only one set of chromosomes. So for example, in the case of barley, instead of 14 chromosomes, it contains only 7 chromosomes. So that due to the reduced volume of the chromosomes, the volume of nucleus also get decreases, and due to this decrease, nucleus get reduced, and due to this reduced nucleus, then cytoplasm of cell also get reduced. So in monoploids, cell as well as nucleus, they get reduced because there is very less number of chromosomes or only one set of chromosomes. So this is very important. These are very important characters of these monoploids. Now we will see in brief cytology of monoploids. So these monoploids are having only one set of chromosomes, as we have seen. So each chromosome, it represents itself only once, means only 7 chromosomes, and they will represent themselves only once. So due to this, there is no zygote pairing, and all the chromosomes appear as a univalent on the metaphase plate during meiosis. So on the metaphase plate, they will only once they will represent themselves. There will be no zygote, because this zygote phase it will be produced in the homologous chromosome, but there are no homologous chromosomes, only one chromosome is there, and so that they are known as univalent. So at the time of anaphase 2, each chromosome moves independent of other and reaches to either of two poles. So at the time of anaphase, as like our diploid cell, there will be no such sharing takes place. So chromosomes will reach either at one pole or to the other pole. The chromosome will not reach at the both poles, so that monoploid organism they will produce the abnormal gametes, or they will produce the monoploid organisms which are highly sterile, because sometimes the gamete will produce the they will produce the organism, or the gametes are without the sterile chromosome, so that monoploid organisms are highly sterile one. So this is all about the cytology of monoploids. Now we will see uses of monoploids. So as we have seen, monoploids are originated naturally, and some plant breeders they are very interested to produce monoploids artificially. So why they want to produce monoploids artificially? So we will see here. So what are the uses? So monoploids we know contains only one copy of each chromosome and only one allele of each gene. So any monoploid plant, it contains only one copy of each chromosome and only one allele of each gene. So in its each gene is expressed whether it is dominant or recessive. So they contains only one gene. If that gene it is in recessive form or in dominant form, it will get express itself, because it is only once, that is dominant or recessive. Dominant we know it will express itself commonly, but recessive it will not express itself in the presence of dominant, as per the Mendelian experiments. But here monoploids they contain only one gene, either it is dominant or it is recessive. Though the gene is dominant or recessive, it will express itself. So this is very helpful for genetic studies, for example in microorganisms. So in most of microorganisms they contains monoploids, haploid genome, and they will express themselves either gene is dominant or recessive. So this is very important for genetic studies. Now pure breeding strains can be easily produced from monoploids. So many such strains are synthesized till today by scientists, for example in Nicotiana, Datura, maize, triticum, etc. So these pure breeding strains are used for the production of homozygous diploid plants. So sometimes these homozygous diploid plants are pure plants or pure breeds which can be only produced by monoploids. So these monoploids are very important for the production of pure breeding strains, that is homozygous strains of different plants. Till today we could produce such type of plants of Nicotiana, Datura, Triticum, maize, etc. Now last application of monoploid is that monoploid strains are resistant for the insecticides and also for toxic compounds which are produced by parasites. So these monoploid plants they are very resistant to insecticides. So if we are using insecticide to kill insects, these monoploid plants they are not suffered, they are not affected by such type of insecticides. Sometimes some parasites which are grown on these monoploid plant they can secrete some toxic compounds. In this case also these monoploid strains are resistant to such type of chemicals, such type of toxic compounds which are secreted by different types of parasites. So these three are most common uses of these monophytes. So for this purpose, monophytes are produced artificially into the laboratory. These are some references used for this presentation. If you like video, please like, comment, subscribe, press bell icon and share with your friends. Thanks for your attention.